Welcome y'all to our session this afternoon, for West Coast morning, for design of fire resistance using the International Building Code. I look forward to presenting to you the information and of course make it useful in whatever what you do for a living, whether it be code officials, designers, architects, contractors. I think you'll find this to be of benefit. I do want to acknowledge that our learning objectives today is in order to apply the fire resistance requirements in the IBC, it starts by us having to look at a relationship between occupancy groups that are in the IBC, the type of construction that a building is planned to use, and of course from those the code will decide if there's some fire resistance. And so that's the mode of operation that we'll go through as we look at that. And then finally, the last part is we will look at in the IBC, there are some provisions in the code that do allow you to determine some fire resistance ratings using the code itself. So that's basically our format. I do want to tell you this presentation is based on the 2021 International Building Code. Now, let me acknowledge to the attendees, I do know that the 2024 International Building Code has been published and is out and available. Some jurisdictions perhaps have adopted it. My experience usually has been it just came out last year. Most, especially through state processes, takes a while to adopt the code editions. So maybe it hasn't quite reached the code adoption level in the locale where you may be either representing the code departments or doing design or construction. But I don't think you need to worry about that. There's no significant changes between the 2021 IBC and the 2024 IBC with regard to the material that I'll be covering and presenting today. I do want to also acknowledge that there's going to be a couple points where I will make some distinction between some information that's in the 2021 that was not in the 2018 International Building Code. I'm doing that mostly because it is some significant items with regard to dealing with types of construction in the IBC, and just want to at least make you aware of that so that you are conscious of it in case you're still perhaps under a 2018 edition. With that, one of the real basics when we deal with fire resistance in buildings, sometimes people maybe are not aware, but historically, the main purposes or goals that the International Building Code, and really most building codes, try to accomplish is they try to regulate just how big a building they're going to allow to be constructed. And when I say how big, primarily it's tied to occupants of the building because that may have an impact from a life safety point of view. Also, the bigger the building gets, the bigger it presents as a fire exposure to adjacent properties. And of course, the bigger the building gets, the more challenge that it becomes for the fire service. And so usually when you go to looking at how the International Building Code is structured in trying to address those goals that are set embodied within the code, then that's how you start to see where it starts to generate regulations or requirements based on the occupancy and type of construction and fire resistance. So the factors we'll be looking at today as we go through this is we want to look at the occupancy type. That is one of the factors I mentioned a minute ago. Construction type, the materials that are used to construct the building itself. The relationship of a building to adjacent properties, or what's called the fire separation distance, plays a factor in how big the building can be built. And then finally, whether there's the presence of fire suppression, i.e. sprinkler systems within the building. Also, the building code takes that part into account, obviously recognizing that having fire suppression within the building is kind of like having the fire service readily available and on hand in the structure should a fire event occur.